Yoo-hoo, everybody. This is my very first YouTube video, and I am really nervous about it and probably going to babble and say and a lot and a lot. But instead of keeping doing that and thinking and cringing while I'm sitting here, I want to share with you my new blog post that I put up today on my website. It's not a long one. I am just reintroducing the new site. I will be putting in some content that talks more about my interests and why I chose to write about grief and trauma, and why I fictionalized it instead of wrote something nonfiction and more uplifting. But today's blog post that I put up today is called Grief is the Shits. And anybody who's ever lost someone, of course, knows grief is the shits, feeling like you want to die yourself. It is just awful. Today I wrote specifically about grief in relation to Lila's story, which, if you ask me, is a story about grief. You may think differently. When people read Lila's story, they aren't always sure how to react to it. My mother seems to think that I'm Lila, but I'm not. Most often, it's the ending that people make comments about. Now, obviously, there is some spoilers in here about the book of Lila Genesis, all three stories. Primarily, this impacts the ending, so if you would not like to know the ending, you probably shouldn't watch this video, but I am going to tell you anyway that Lila doesn't get a happy ending, at least not what people would traditionally think is a happy ending. And if you have a pass-fail type of perspective on what happiness is, then you definitely wouldn't consider the end of the book happy. But I know what's going to happen next in Lila's life, so I disagree. I think Lila has some interesting things coming ahead for her. So I wrote in this blog post about how Lila is a complicated character. You know, she's amoral, but her morality isn't based on the same things that other people would base their morality on. You know, she doesn't have religion. She has only her experiences and what she feels or what she's experienced is right and wrong. Her upbringing, the trauma in her life, and her ability to just like be in her own head and create a reality in there really influence her perspective and why she makes the choices that she does. And you know, her character and the responses are actually based on medically documented psychiatric responses. So I didn't just make up some crazy weird response to difficulties and trauma. I have researched and studied this and experienced my own trauma over many years. So that's why I chose to write about this and why it came out that way. And you know, speaking of psychiatry, I have to come back to my mom, and my mom is amazing, and she's funny, and she's a huge blessing in my life, and I love her so much. And the reason I was shocked that my mom thought that I was Lila is because I think Lila is kind of a fucking asshole. Like, she's earned the asshole. You know, it's a response to her life, but she's a jerk, and so I was kind of bugged that my mom would think I was Lila. Now, I hope that I'm the good things in Lila and the bad things in Lila are just made up. But you know, people think what they want. I think Lila, by the end of chapter 3, has a pretty good sense of herself and does what she does as to avoid facing that. But maybe you think something different. I want to encourage you to go and visit my website. I have a short story there about Lila. It takes place when Lila graduates from college and is headed off to her own life and what's happening then. But before she heads off and starts her own life, we have Psalm 1, which is when Lila graduates from school and takes a little holiday and what happens. And fair warning, it's mature themes. It is got some sexy times in it, and I think kind of fleshes out the background of Lila that you don't get in the book because Lila tells the story from her perspective. So she really only tells you what she wants you to know. So anyway, like and share my page if you're interested in hearing more, and I am going to post things whether y'all join me or not, and And I have this whole if I build it, they will come thing, and I hope y'all come. So visit my website, subscribe to the channel, and thanks for listening.